What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 30 of Beyond the Finish Line, a running podcast that dives deep in the stories that transcend far beyond the distance. I am your host, Joe Harden. I'm a passionate trail runner myself. Whether you're an elite, a back of the pack grinder, or somewhere between, this is your space to learn, grow, and get inspired. Today we have Mandy Mullen. Um, Mandy is an ultra runner, a race director, a community builder, the driving force behind Windsor Race Series. What started as a small run group in Colorado has evolved under Mandy's leadership into a thriving race series. Mandy is a two-time Leadville 100 finisher. Cruel Jewel, which I heard is like a really brutal race, something I've got on my list. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that from Mandy. A certified running coach, founder of Windsor Gives, a charitable organization that's turning miles into meaningful impact. Mandy isn't just building finish lines; she's building a community. So I am really stoked to have her on. But real quick, friends of the pod, let's get a little housekeeping out of the way. Your support means everything to me and everybody at the EAPN. So if you feel so inclined, do us a huge favor. Smash that subscribe button, follow, share, rate. Something really cool that Spotify is doing now, you can comment on the podcast. That's huge for engagement. It helps boost us on the algorithm. And I think it's really cool. It gives us a chance to like continue on the conversation in that like format. So please do so. It's much appreciated. So without further ado, let's bring Mandy forward for this great conversation.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you for the very kind introduction. Great. How are
Yeah,
you?
good. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know we tried this before. You're super busy, so it means a lot to me for you to take time. I know you said you just rolled in too, so it means a lot to me that you came on the podcast. So that's really cool to carve out some time to chat with me about running or whatever we want to talk about here. But like I do with all
Yeah.
my guests, I gave you an introduction. You're a lot of things, but I would like to give you some time. Maybe tell us about Mandy, like beyond the running and the miles and all that stuff. Maybe like who is Mandy Mullen?
Yeah. So you might have just heard in the background one of my kids just walked in the door. So I'm also a mom. I am a Colorado native, born and raised in Brush, Colorado. Go Beat Diggers. And yeah, I have lived in Colorado my whole life. Did a short stint in Biloxi, Mississippi for my husband's school in the Colorado National Guard for some cross training, and then decided let's go back to Colorado and probably never want to live anywhere else again because I think this is the greatest state ever. Yeah, but I got into running later in life, early 20s, I guess. I wasn't a big runner in high school or college or anything, but running, I think, just kind of found me, and more probably the running community found me. And I just wanted to give back and be a bigger part of it. And fast forward, I literally just walked in the door. I missed our podcast earlier last week because I was just rolling into Silverton to volunteer for Hard Rock, and I couldn't get my internet set up, and it was the whole thing. So yeah, I'm really busy. I'm always juggling all of the things, it feels like, and trying to do a million things at once. But yeah, like you said, I'm a race director, so mostly kind of community-based races, 5K to marathons, now ultra marathons, and then 2 point-to-point cross-state relay races. So I do my best to try to juggle duties as a mom, as a wife, as a friend, a community builder in the small business community in Windsor, along with training and running and race directing. And it's never balanced actually, ever, but everything just kind of has its season and give and take when you can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, balance is so tricky, right? I like to ask everybody, like, and I guess maybe I can ask you at the end of the podcast, like, kind of how you balance all those things. That I think sometimes I ask for myself. It's like I don't think there really is a balance. It's like I think you have to like kind of grease the squeakiest wheel, and then kind of learn to like adapt and move on. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's kind of, I don't know if
I
it's perfect,
totally
but that's
agree.
how that's how I've been getting through it all. Like yourself, I mean, you're a podcast host too. You do so many things. I didn't even touch on that. So which I like the
Yes.
pod, by the way. I was sharing with you
Thank
earlier how
you.
I was listening to uh, your recent episode with Shay Aquilano, and she's from Indiana. So
Mhm.
that's what made me go to that episode. Like, hey, cool, like another Indiana trail runner. And I got to see her go streaming past me at Jackson County 100K, finishing about the time that I heard that she found out she was drawn for Western States. So yeah, I'm digging the pod too. See all these things, and you are hosting a podcast or co-hosting a podcast, buckled up with Brian, right?
Yeah, with Brian. Yeah, I've known
Um,
Brian for a while. Gosh, I think I first actually met him in person when I showed up to the USCA running conference. I wrote a course on race directing 101. I can't say it's a certification because there's no right way to race direct, but it's a course kind of on my knowledge and how I've built up my race series. And I um, wrote that and then attended the um, sorry, I've got some music playing here. I don't know what's happening, why this keeps going. 1 second,
I
you might
can't
have
hear it
to
on my
comment
end, so
that,
it's
Jason.
okay.
Okay, you can't. I don't know why my
uh,
Apple keeps on trying to play music on me, so I'll try not to interrupt you next time it happens. Anyways, yeah, I showed up to this conference and I sat down and this guy was like, "What's up, Mandy?" And I was like, "Should I know you?" And turns out like we followed each other on social media, and he knew me from social media, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen your pictures." So anyways, I became friends with Brian several years ago, and then I listened to his podcast a little bit, and Simon was his podcast co-host, and Simon this year decided to turn his focus on his racing. He races like 100
yeah,
miles every month, it seems.
like
He's
every
so
month,
busy,
right?
and
Yeah.
so I think yeah, between focusing on his time on his family and work, he took a step back from the podcast, and Brian invited me to test it out, and that's it. So I've been co-hosting now for I don't even know how long, a couple of months, I guess. But it's been a blast. It's really fun to get to talk to people and see the world from a different perspective and hear stories like Shay and other people we've interviewed. It's been a blast to kind of, it's like a breath of fresh air to, similar to like volunteering at a race, to take like your running hat off or also your race director hat off and just get to be in the community in a different way. So I'm falling in love with that part of my career and running passion right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like all those things are like you get to still kind of be in a space, but you don't have to, actually participate. It's like a bucket filler, but you still get to kind of be, and you get to meet so many cool people volunteering and podcasting. Like some of the some of the best people I've met through this platform and like in volunteering at races, outside of running them. When you're running them, you know how it is. You're kind of, at least I am. You don't always get to see, maybe some of the front of the pack people or whatever. But it's kind of cool to get to meet people from like all sides of the front of the pack to the back of the pack. Like in the podcast, it's been like my favorite thing so far
Yeah,
about
that's a
that.
good point. I hadn't thought about that because, like you said, us back of the Packers, those finishers are flying by us.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't get to
yeah,
talk to them then, but if we host a podcast and invite them on, then they'll be sure to chat with us or go volunteer and find a race
yeah,
that they're volunteering at. And I was sharing with you and Jason before that I got the chance to talk to Tara this weekend, and that just would never happen in real life if we all show up to races and volunteer. We get a chit chat and share stories and I don't know,
that's
just
so
a
cool.
different environment than on the course.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think Tara Dower might be like one of my trail running heroes. Like what was cool is while she was running Western States, she like shared her playlist for Western States. So there was a few of us that were like listening to her playlist while she was running it. It was really cool, like some of the music she shared. But that's really cool. You got to meet her. So that's yeah, it'd be I probably wouldn't know what to say to Tara Dower. I'd probably like kind of fanboy out a little bit, but that's really cool. You get to like run into Tara Dower at Hard Rock. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was neat. I was walking by her and she had sparkles on her cheeks. And I didn't initially really recognize her right off the bat. It was we were all very sleep deprived. It was I don't even know. I guess it was the day of the finish, maybe. Gosh, who knows what day it was? I'm getting really confused on it. Anyways, she had sparkles on her face. And I was like, I like your sparkles. And she was like, thanks. I got them from a girl at I was volunteering out in Uray And so we started talking, and it was really cool too, because she showed up the day before trying to run. She was first on the wait list. I don't know if you saw her social media, but she's holding a race bib, saying she's trying to get in, and she shows up on race morning, and we were there volunteering on race morning, and there were no drops, so she didn't get in. um, and so, but instead of like just pouting or going home, of course she stays and she volunteers. So she works the URA aid station, it sounds like. And we got to talk about Cruel Jewel, which you kind of touched on a little bit, I think, in your
Yeah.
intro. Tara was like, would you go back and do it? And I was like, because she did it and a lot faster than me too. But I was like, I might, but like, what's with that out and back? It was so unnecessary. And so we got to talk about that. But I loved Hard Rock because it was such a chill race and chill environment, and so many incredible runners and athletes and coaches there, but it's not quite the hype of like a Western States. There's not a billion people around. It's just relaxed. And I think, athletes like that appreciate that they're not getting fangirled 24/7. There's not a million people standing in line trying to get a selfie with them. It's a very respectful space. I noticed that a lot. Um, I shared this story on my podcast interview this morning, but Michael Wardian was there. He ran, and
Oh, cool.
so I got to meet him in the aid station, actually, in the gym. So kind of the final aid station at the finish line. But he ran. He told me he went and slept for an hour and a half, and then he got up and showed up in jeans, and he worked in the gym feeding runners all the way through the night and through the morning through the golden hour. So I
Oh,
was
that's so
there
cool.
working the timing, and there's a bunch of other volunteers there, feeding athletes. But instead of going and resting, Michael's like, no, I'm here for this. Like, this community means everything to me, and this is what I live for. So he's, exhausted. He just crushed the Hard Rock 100, and then here he is after 1 hour of sleep in volunteer mode, taking care of everyone through golden hour, flipping burgers and mopping the floor. It was just so cool to see. But no one's bugging him. He just gets to be in his element. And that's kind of how a lot of athletes were this weekend. So just kind of more tested why I love the space and
Yeah, that says a
trying to be
lot
a part of it.
about like the kind of people that do that. Like the fact that he would show up and like even when he's done, like kind of chill out and volunteer. That's really cool. I guess it just shows you like the caliber of people that like take like occupy trail running. That's really neat.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty rad.
How did you get into it, Joe?
Mine was kind of it started off as like as a weight loss thing, and I was going through sobriety, and I don't know, I slowly started working up distance on a treadmill, and I ran a mile on a treadmill one day, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I did something like that. Like, I ran a mile that wasn't like punishment in gym or something like that, and then I signed up for a 5K, and then now I'm signing up for 100 milers. It was like it's really strange how it went from a mile on a treadmill to trying to lose weight, get healthy to you know now attempting 100. I'm 0 for 2 on 100 milers right now, but I'm gonna keep going until I get one done. But so that's kind of how I got
you'll,
into it. But it
you'll
it's
get it. That's awesome.
it happened fast, but I'm sure that does for anytime I talk to ultra runners, it seems like that's about the trajectory it goes on. They found it and then they just dive right in. It's like it's not it's not who I am completely, but it's a big part of who I am, I guess. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so
I feel that.
so talking about that, I know you said running's kind of been a part of your life for a while, but maybe run us through like the timeline of how that happened. Were you a road like was like a were you in like athletics and then it evolved into trail running? Like kind of run us through like that journey.
Yeah, I was athletic growing up. I mean, not great, just ran track and played softball. And I grew up in a community where most everyone played sports, right? Like varsity blues style town community. So I didn't love running though. Ran after college. My husband and I started running, like kind of to your point, to get into shape, and he enjoyed it way faster than I did. I didn't really love it. I didn't catch the bug. I saw it as a means to fitness for sure, and but it worked. Like I ran 5Ks and 10Ks and a couple of halves, and really probably dove into it. I was inspired to try to qualify for Boston after we went
Okay.
when Nick ran. So he ran it in 2013, which was the year of the bombing, and
Yeah.
we were there for
Yeah.
that experience. And so just to talk about community, like watching how great that community was to each other, and just kind of like had some FOMO and was like, I want to be a part of this awesome group of people and try to get here myself one day. So I just started taking the workouts more seriously, started doing the speed work, and I was a mom. Carter was 9 months old, and then just kept running through my second pregnancy, and eventually did kind of like start to get faster and get closer to like that qualifying time, and ran road, though never ran trails really. I think actually we went to Estes for vacation recently and saw the Sombrero Ranch that's up there, and I was like, that's where we ran our first trail race. We ran a trail 5K years ago before we even had kids, I think. And I remember at that time feeling like, whoa, this is hard, like running up a mountain, which is
Yeah.
funny because now you look at that, a 5K on the side of a mountain is nothing compared to, like you said, like a 100-mile trail race. So it happens fast. But I really I tried to qualify for Boston after I started Run Windsor. Took a group of my runners to run the Colorado Marathon and various distances, and I fell short of a BQ time by 5 minutes, which really means I was like 10 to 15 minutes too slow, right? Because even if you get your time, you're not guaranteed entry. So, but I'd shaved off an hour and a half from my first full marathon. So I was super
Wow.
proud of myself. Like,
Yeah.
I missed the goal, but it'd been maybe 2 years since my first full. So to shave that much time off since my first full felt really huge. And I kind of remember like Nick hurt my feelings actually after my first marathon because I ran it so slow that I think there was like an 80-year-old that actually did pass me towards the finish line of my first marathon. And he wasn't trying to be mean, but I remember him telling me that, and I was really sad. I was like, that really hurt my feelings. And so maybe that motivated me to get faster. So I did that and was determined to crush, shave off another 5 to 10 minutes off of that, and kept working harder. And in the middle of all of that, my run group was growing. I was now race directing, with Run Windsor. I had opened a group fitness studio in March of 2019, which I'm sure you're doing the math. That was really
Oh
awesome
yeah.
timing to open a gym. It was just super lucrative. No barriers at all. um, but
Just
I was also working really hard on my fitness. And by March of 2020, everything looked awesome. Like 2020 looked so great. Like we hit all my runners. We'd signed up for so many races for the next year. I was feeling very speedy. All of my speed workouts for my long runs were right on par. Like as a run coach, I'm looking at the math, and the pace guide and thinking like, I've got this PQ in the bag. I felt super confident. Group Fitness Studio was doing well. I was planning for 7 races in 2020, including Windsor's first half marathon, and then we got shut down. And I really think that's probably when I turned to trail, and it wasn't. It's probably a couple of reasons. I think running slow became appealing. Everything in life felt so fast and it felt so hard and stressful. We're now trying to homeschool. I'm trying to figure out how to be a group fitness instructor in front of a camera and figure out a camera and audio settings because the gym is closed, but I got to pay the rent, and trying to figure out how to still put on some races maybe after this is all over. And everything just felt hard and stressful and fast paced. And I just was like, I just want to run slow. Like speed workouts sound more stressful. They don't sound relaxing. They don't sound like the relief I need from running. And also my Boston qualifying race, which was supposed to be in May of 2020, had gotten canceled. And I was like, that's it. Like, I don't even have it in me to keep running fast for this imaginary race. And who knows when this is going to get rescheduled for? Is it later in the year? Is it 2021? Like, if it never happens, why am I killing myself to run fast? Just, it's not serving me. And there were some races still happening in Moab, some trail races. And so I signed up for my first 50K, and then ended up running a 50 miler at that race. And that's really is when I fell in love. And yeah, I really have not gone back to road running. I've run one road marathon and a couple of road halves since then, but it's not my happy place anymore. It's really getting lost on trails for a day.
yeah.
Sounds more fun
Yeah.
to me.
I mean, you sound a lot like me. I've got like all these irons in the fire, and like trail running more of like my sanctuary now. It's like you said, it's like all the you get to like leave all these stressors. You get like this happening, and like you have a gym open during the pandemic, and to me it sounds like you kind of like trails is kind of like your escape, right? I guess you would probably agree with that, but is that kind of like what do you think that's what makes you stick with trail running? Is it's like an escape from all those other things? Like to me, it's like a nice way to like kind of get away from all that stuff, and like kind of like leave the stressors behind for even if it's only for like an hour or two.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I don't get up to run trails as much as I want. Obviously, if I'm signed up for a race, then I'm finding a lot more time to do it. I'm finding it really hard, especially right now, to actually take the time to drive the 45 minutes or 30 minutes to actual trails and run because I don't have a race on the calendar officially. Um, so like I go through seasons though where I am trail running and just yeah, absolutely loving that. But I would say it's really the races that keep me coming back, even if I have to carve in miles and some and strength training. That's what I'm focused on right now is more strength training. If I have to carve out time for that and then get to go run a trail race, like to me, that's kind of good enough. It's that
Yeah.
experience of just being in the race environment on trails. I just did the Leadville Marathon a couple weeks ago, and I would say my body wasn't super trained for the trail for the Leadville Marathon because I haven't been running a lot of trails recently, but it's fine. It's great. Like I'm happy to do it if I'm moving slow and having to power walk the uphills, but I get to sprint downhill. I'll do that. I'll do that all day, every day. And I like that the pressure is removed from the competition piece. And I think you have to be, depending on where you're at, like I've run my first 50 miler, I ran pretty fast. Like I feel like I really crushed it in my mind for my first 50. And I think my time was around 9 hours or 10 hours in Moab for the arches. And I
Oh
was
wow.
like, oh, I'm like this is kind of speedy for my first 50. But I was like in really great fitness then and running a lot. And now I'm not running as much. And so like my Leadville Marathon recently was 20 minutes slower than when I did it last year and the year before. But I'm okay with that. Like I had a great time, and you're in a
Yeah.
community of people that doesn't really matter. It's your race and it's your goal, and you have to be okay in your mind to remove that competition if that's what you need at the moment. And that's what I like about it is some people need the racing and are trying to podium, and I've had those moments where I'm trying to be fast, but I've also had these moments where it's fine to go slower and just enjoy it and just get to be in that space, and no one can call you or text you or need you. That's your only mission at the moment is just to put one foot in front of the other. And I think there's so much beauty in that. I just to spend all day doing what you love, surrounded by people that are good like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't think I can offhand remember any of my ultra times right now. Like I might for like a day or two, but then like that after that it just like escapes me. I couldn't tell you any of my finishing times. I don't think. Maybe my first 50K was maybe around 7 or 8 hours, but of
Okay.
course I stopped too much and just I take a lot of pictures
Yeah.
and like I had almost too much fun at aid stations. So I'm learning to get a little
Yeah.
bit quicker at getting through aid stations, but same thing. It's
Yeah.
like I always just kind of remember how much fun I had or like the connections I made or whatever. I take way too many pictures.
Yeah.
That's my issue. But
Oh, I'm the same way. So many pictures and stopping to change the song if you don't like the song. Yeah. So I don't remember a lot of my times. I think we talked about this a little bit offline too, like numbers. You're talking about Nick
yeah,
running
like
across the years, and I was like, I don't remember how many miles. I remember someone asked me a time how long it took me at Leadville, and this was right after I ran and finished my first Leadville, and I was like 31 hours. And they were like, well, the cutoff is 30. And I was like, okay, then it wasn't 31, 29, maybe, just, I don't know. The numbers haven't been a focus of mine. The only reason I remember my first 50 milers, because I do remember feeling like, hey, that was a good time. And it was pretty fast. So, who knows? I do want to get faster. I want to get better. But, as we touched on, it's the juggling act of what takes priority right now. And right now I'm looking at I have 3 races to race direct in August and a lot going on. I'm pacing and crewing at Leadville. Just got back from Hard Rock, going on two family vacations. My our youngest is about to have a birthday. They start school. So right now I'm looking at the training calendar and I'm like, I don't have a lot of time for running right now. And I just have to be okay with that. Sometimes getting out for 30 minutes to an hour run is just fine. And
Yeah.
there are seasons for these seasons for everything, especially when we choose to put so much on our plates. Like I have to remind myself every day, these are decisions I'm making. I want to go volunteer. I want to go crew and pace someone. I want to host these 3 awesome races that we have coming up. I can't also then want to run 10 miles every day like I did when I was in best shape. So
Yeah,
give and take.
absolutely. Yes, like you said, there's seasons. Like my mileage isn't as high as probably it could be, but whatever. I mean, I'm still getting out there and enjoying trails. It sounds like you are too, and enjoying running, and that's all that really matters, I guess, at the end of the day. Yeah. Oh, so something I heard you share. So you're talking about your first ultra, which I thought this story was so cool. I actually heard you tell the story on my friend Liz Meyer's podcast. Um,
Oh
how
yeah.
yeah, you signed up for a 50K and then ended up doing a 50 miler. So that's so cool. So you went straight to 50 miler for your first ultra.
Yes. Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so a friend of ours and my husband were signed up for the 50-mile race, and he wasn't able to go. So his wife actually had a baby, and so he wasn't able to go. And so he was like, "Go take my 50-mile race." And actually, I wasn't even signed up for that 50K. Now that we think about it, I was signed up for 50K that was like a month later,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, I wasn't even supposed to go on that trip actually. So it was pretty much like, here's a race bib, someone needs to run it, go run it. And the month before in January, a friend of mine, Sarah, and I, we had decided we were wanting to run more. Like I think we both woke up on New Year's Day and we were hungover and felt like we'd been eating a bunch of crap food, and we were like, let's do something big this month. So starting January 1, we started running. And again, numbers, I can't remember. I've told the story a couple times, but I want to say it was like 410 or 390 miles in the month of January, and we just filled out our calendars for how many miles we had to run every single
Wow.
day, and that was the mission. And we had no race really planned. Obviously, I was signed up for this 50K like in March maybe, so this was just January, just get going. I remember talking to her about this, like I think Nick had signed up for this race, and I was like, oh, he's running all these miles. He gets to run all these miles. I'm like, well, wait a second, you can run miles too. You don't have to be training for a race to run a bunch of miles. So Sarah and I talked about that. Like, let's just do all these miles in the month, and we'll hold each other accountable. And it's January in Colorado. It doesn't matter if it's 10 below. It doesn't matter what else we have going on. I think we're both still probably, we've got kids at home. It's winter break, and then going into, I don't know if they were back to school back then, what year this was, but either way, like we're juggling kids and all the things. But like at the end of the day, if the calendar said 8 miles, you had to get 8 miles in, no excuses. And so by the end of January, I felt the best I've ever felt, was so energized and was running all of these miles every day. And so then going into this 50-mile race that was very impromptu, I was like really nervous. I mean, I'd never run more than a marathon before. Was freaking out about it. And I even texted Denise Richards with Mad Moose the night before. And I was like, hey, I'm taking this race bit, but is there any chance I can downgrade it from the 50 miler to the 50K? And she never got back to me because, of course, she's busy. She's got a race the next day. And we showed up to the start line, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm running the 50. And she came up to me and she's like, Mandy, I'm so sorry. I got your email. Of course, you can downgrade to the 50K. And I was like, well, I'm already here, and it's start time for the 50 miler. So we're just going to go for it. And I felt so amazing. That race went so well. I had so much fun. And I think a lot of it too was like there was no pressure in the training leading up to this race. So there was no time to get freaked out or hyped up about anything. It was just simple running. So that was a lot of fun. And I never have I done a 50K. I've never even done a 50K. I think I went straight to 50
Oh,
mile
that's
and then did Behind the Rocks 50 miler several times. I think 3 years in a row I went and did Behind the Rocks. And then, yeah, straight to Leadville was my first 100. 2 finishes,
that's
and
so
then
rad.
a DNF a couple months after my Cruel Jewel finish.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, you probably just had no time to like overthink the 50 miler. You're just like, I'm here, like let's just do this thing. I love that.
Yeah.
You skip 50, so you skip 50K. I skipped marathon. I've still
Oh,
never ran like outside of like training for ultras. I've never ran an official marathon distance. I think I just never got into it. I'm thinking about like doubling back now and trying a
yeah.
marathon because there's like some really cool, like really big marathons in Indiana that I should probably try out since I talk so much about the community here. I should probably run a marathon around this
Would
area,
you
but
do a road or a trail?
I just never did it.
A road marathon or a trail
I
marathon?
I think I would like to try a road marathon. I don't know. It sounds terrifying. It sounds weird when I say this to my road running friends. I'm like, I'm scared of the marathon. Like I'm scared of a road marathon. Like that sounds awful. Like it sounds like it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Um, that's a lot of
It's a lot of
road,
road.
and I feel like I'll like want to, yeah, and I feel like I'll want to run it fast, like fast, whatever that means to anybody. But so I feel like I'd be like pressured to try to be a little bit quicker, and then yeah, I just don't know if I'm into that currently, but I want to give it a go. But
Yeah.
so that's
I-
cool that you skipped 50K and the 50 miler.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to give it a
That's
go.
pretty
I,
neat.
I feel the same way though. I think it's worth experiencing it just to do it, but I agree with you. I don't find it
Yeah,
enjoyable any to run fast on road anymore. It's just not the season I'm in mentally. I
yeah,
might someday, but yeah, it's well, and it's really funny too because most of the races I direct are on road. So I love road runners and I love road running to an extent. I don't love
yeah,
road racing, but in our community, we've been really blessed to have a lot of our runners start out running 5Ks and 10Ks and then kind of graduate up with us. And so I don't really host any true trail races. We do a This year was a 48-hour running event. Next year we're cutting it down to 36 for a couple of reasons. But it's like a backyard ultra style. It's just a 4 mile loop, kind of as many
ooh,
loops as you can do. It's on private farmland, so we're on dirt, but we're not, up in the mountains technically on trail. That's kind of fun because we've been able to bring that like ultra trail scene a little bit to northern Colorado, which is different. And I love doing that here because it removes some of those barriers for a lot of our runners that might not otherwise sign up to go and run in Leadville or in Moab. It puts it right in their backyard. So they get to dabble in it and then grow from there. And so like my friend Kyle, he just went and ran the Leadville Silver Rush 50 this weekend and got a coin for the 100. But he runs a lot of our races here
oh,
locally. So it's
cool.
kind of fun to see our community encourage each other and grow and get comfy in those longer distances and then branch out and go run other races. And then we do a flaming foliage relays, a 165-mile race from Idaho Springs to Buena Vista. And there's a good section, a good amount on there that's on the Colorado Trail around Turquoise Lake and Forest Service roads as well. So same with Wild West, our 200-mile relay race that's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's a lot of highway and kind of road running, but
Yeah,
also a lot of like running through Red Feather and up Dead Man's Pass and on dirt roads in Red Mountain open space. So little bit of both, little combo because I think it's fun for them to be able to experience both and decide what sticks.
yeah. Yeah, I love that you have a backyard because and what you said about it kind of removes the barriers for first time ultra runners because that's how I got my first ultra distance was I signed up for like a backyard style. Well, it was a backyard, and it just didn't seem as like scary. It was like it seemed attainable, and like like the backyard style stuff. You're like starting and stopping with other people, so it's like the vibe was just there for me that day, and so I think that's kind of cool that you set that up because I think if it wasn't for like that style of race, I might have been too intimidated to sign up for like an actual trail ultra race. So I think that's kind of cool that you provide that, and that's something I want to talk about. Run Windsor and like your introduction, and so you're running. You've got this run club. It's an all women's run club. How does it like morph into like the community is now and like race directing? Like how did that kind of run me through that journey? Like how did it become what it is now? And also I want to note I'm going to try and do my best to sneak onto Jason's relay team because I really want to do that event in 2026. I don't know. I'll have to make some room on Jason's relay team because I heard you talk about it on the fireside chat a few weeks
Yeah.
ago, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I've been wanting to join a relay team for a long time, so I may have to join that.
Yeah.
I may have to invite myself to
I'd
that
love
team
you
and
to. Have
stuff.
you watched the film
But yeah,
yet?
talk about
Have you
yeah.
watched the film?
No,
The Run Wild?
I've heard it. So I've heard it's really, really good. So and it's on my queue, I swear, because yeah, I'm hooked on this idea.
Add it to
So
your to-do list. Um, yeah, so it all happened super organically. Like I could never have envisioned all of these things that we're doing now. Um, on that note, like I'm so grateful for it. Like I'll just start there, but as before I fill the story in, but my son Carter, like going back to Backyard Ultra, he is about to turn 13, which I can't believe. But to think that like I was carrying him at a baby at the Boston Marathon when I was still like, what is this marathon thing? This is insane. To now we'll fast forward where we're at. And he's like mini race director. He just volunteered with me at Hard Rock. So incredible. Like he was such a rock star. He loved every minute. Like was never bored. He made himself useful. He was counting shirts and encouraging runners, asking other volunteers what he could do to help. So great. And then he also ran 32 miles at Weld Your Medal at our ultra event in May. And
cool.
would like I remember we've taken him to 5Ks before, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing that." But to be surrounded by the environment and in that place where people are just running loops, I think he just was like, "Well, why not?" It's not intimidating. There's everyone here so kind and encouraging, and it's a loop, so let's keep doing it. Yeah, so it's been really fun to watch that part of that impact, even just for our family and for our kids. But yeah, going back to your question and how that all happened, just really didn't know what we were doing. I started the run group with another mom. Her name was Daisy, and we were just having a conversation about how hard it is to be a runner and a mom and taking care of a household. And maybe you're working a career, maybe you're just staying at home. And either way, your running goals or want of running goals might get lost in everything else we have as grown-ups and these responsibilities. So we just talked about, maybe we should start a running group. And I was becoming a certified group fitness instructor then as well. And she's like, I thought we could become run coaches. So we stumbled upon the USCA Run Coach Cert and became certified run coaches. And we looked far and wide for a women's only running group that also offered coaching services. And we couldn't find what we were envisioning. And maybe it already existed, but there's definitely not a cookie cutter, here's what you do A through Z. So we just kind of were throwing ideas out in the world and let's create Run Windsor. And we're a very affordable women's only running group. We'll train together, run together. We'll write you training plans and get you to your goal. And it was awesome. And it took off really fast. We had a lot of women join right off the bat. And we would travel. We went on a couple destination trips, but mostly we'd pick out like a race series here, like Colorado Marathon, for example, and together go and run 5K, 10K, half and full. Everyone's running a different distance. And while we were doing that, also kind of really leaned heavily into the community part. I have a background in marketing. And so what I really loved most about this when I started was not only creating community through the run group and watching these friendships and bonds form among the women that were in the group, but really it was connecting to other businesses and meeting business owners and feeling like I remember feeling so excited if I went to the coffee shop and was like, hey, I have this run group. Do you want to collaborate and offer a discount? And, they're small business owners and they're like, absolutely, we'd love to. And that really lit a fire under me. Like I love being that connector. So we started hosting, like seminars. We would get the Brooks rep to come, runners groups would help us get Brooks to come and do sports bra fittings for women and talk about sports bras for men, or a chiropractor to talk about running and chiropractic care as a female and how do your hips change after childbirth and how do we take care of ourselves as we're running. So really specific. And then we volunteered for the town of Windsor Plan 2 5Ks a year, signed up to volunteer and help them with their manual timing. And we were just really excited to be there. And they offered up me to take over this one 5K they had. It's Parks and Rec trying to put on this big operation that let's face it, makes no money. It's a ton of work. You have to have the passion and the desire. And they offered it up and I said, sure, why not? And took it over with another friend of mine and just fell in love with the whole process and the operation. And from there, it was like, well, the 5K was pretty easy to put on. Let's add on a 10K. Well, that was easy. Let's add on a half marathon, full marathon, all the way to the ultra events that we do now. And yeah, just kind of kept growing. And finding sponsors and community involvement was kind of all a part of that. So I kind of quickly figured out how to do that, what enticed sponsors, what they wanted out of our community, what kind of things they wanted to support, what our runners liked. And now I think we've kind of maximized like the experiences we can have at our races. I don't know that I could add much more to them, honestly. It's such an operation. Like at Welger Metal and most of our races now, we have sauna and cold plunge. And at Welger Metal, we brought in a line dancing group to do line dancing lessons, glamping tents and yurts that we
Cool.
had shipped in from, I think, Montana. Food going 24/7, and like Texas Roadhouse brought, catered and sponsored, and Luna's Tacos brought breakfast burritos, and we have a chef that prepares food at most of our races, and beer and non-alcoholic seltzers donated from our local distributor and breweries. We've had a brew beer for us with like an actual label with all of our runners' faces on them. So we've really
Oh, cool.
just kept adding and adding and adding and adding, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a cool creative space to get into, and for the running community, um, they expect a good race, they expect good food and good swag, and then they really love it if you just go above and beyond that. I was laughing. We have bouncy houses at almost all of our races as well, and while our parents love that, I've also heard a lot of them come to me when they go and run another race that doesn't have bouncy houses, and their kids are not happy that they've come to a race and they're like, "Where's the bouncy house?" And they're like, "Not all races have bouncy houses at the finish line." So yeah, it's been a quickly evolving process, and so everything that we do, for the most part, are races that we've developed, courses that we've developed. They're all very unique in their branding and where they're located. The 2 overnight relay races I did acquire from the original race director, Paul Vander Heiden, created the Wild West Relay purely from scratch 23 years ago. And then Flaming Foliage Relay is a tweak on the Colorado relay that once existed. And that one's going into year 13. So same thing. I was at the finish line of Wild West, and Paul said, "Hey, I'm turning 75 this year. This is not an old man's job. It's a young person's job. I need you to buy these relays for me." And I was like, kind of like everything, like, sure, why not? Let's give it a shot. It won't be that much work. And here we are.
I love that. You had me at line dancing and breakfast burritos and bouncy houses.
and glamping tents.
Yeah. So Wild West Relay, is that 200 miles? The relay?
200 miles. It is 200 miles, point
Did
to
it always start
point.
at that distance, or? Oh, cool. Point to
Yes.
point.
Mm-hmm.
Did it start out that
It's a lot
distance,
of
or was that
fun.
something that you like grew into?
No, it started that distance. I think he made some tweaks of the course along the way, a couple different times, but it's always been 200 miles. It's actually 198.79 or something like that. So it's just shy of 200, barely. But yeah, we call it 200 miles. Yeah,
Close enough. Yeah.
at least we're calling it 200, and we're not making them run 206. Cruel Jewel.
Yeah. It's not 265 or whatever, or yeah, whatever
206.
Cocodona is. But
Yeah.
so that's cool. So okay. Yeah, I've been dabbling race directing myself. I've got my first thing coming up in October, and I'm already like kind of lost in all the moving pieces. I couldn't imagine the moving pieces you have with an almost 200-mile relay. Like that has to be pure chaos. Against, yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around having to
Yeah.
that. So
Ooh. Yeah, the permitting and the planning is the real beast. I can't even tell you how many permits we write for this, and some of them we get multi-year permits, but you still have to like redo some applications every year for those. But for the most part, it's all a new permit every year. The list of questions in these permits grows exponentially every year. The questions that you have to answer, the things you have to fill out, different levels of operating plans, and everyone has different requirements. Like I filled out a permit last week and it asked for my dust control plan. And I was like, I don't know what a dust control plan
Really?
is for a race. I don't even, I got to Google, like, what do they mean dust control
Yeah.
plan? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where like runners will wear buffs to not get dust in their mouth. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of moving pieces.
Isn't that what Mother Nature does?
Yeah, I'm like, let's hope it rains. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of volunteers, a lot of behind the scenes work. So we have volunteers at every exchange, hopefully, if we have enough volunteers, but basically an exchange where one runner passes the invisible baton to the next runner. So we try to get at least 2 volunteers at each exchange just to be eyes on the course. I cannot be everywhere along this 200-mile course. Our radio operators can't be either, or my team. So volunteers are key, but we do a give back program to our volunteers to kind of entice and help out nonprofit groups that come and spend their time with us. So when teams register, they pay their registration fee, and then they either commit to bringing 2 volunteers to help at different places along the course, or pay a volunteer fee that goes to the nonprofit Windsor Gives that you mentioned. So Windsor Gives
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
just serves as a pass through. So you would make your $220 donation to Windsor Gives. Windsor Gives then passes all of those funds onto the nonprofit groups that we recruit to come out onto the course. So it's a cool win-win. We're supporting nonprofits through it. Our runners get supported, and it's it helps us a little bit. But it's a lot. We have probably 100 to 150 volunteers at each of these
Wow.
point-to-point relays. So if you
Wow.
are listening and you love Colorado and you love to volunteer, we are always looking for more people on the course.
Cool. Yeah. I need some reasons to go out west. So it might be either do the relay or volunteer, one of the two. I like to be there in some capacity because this sounds really cool. So real quick, so what does Windsor Gives do actually? I was kind of wanting you to maybe tell us about that also.
Yeah, that was initially a brainchild out of a request for our schools to come in and put on fun runs for the school. So we did that through Run Windsor for a year, but then quickly realized that we could add more value to that program if we could go in as a nonprofit. Like if I could request grants, request sponsorship specifically through a 501c3, that ask is so much easier if you're a nonprofit than a for-profit. So initially it was, hey, let's start a program where we just put on fun runs for kids. We don't ask the school to pay anything. No one on our team gets paid. We don't have any paid directors or administrative staff. We're volunteering our time. The school gets this service for free. The kids get to have a good time, but we can use grants and fundraising to fund race bibs and race shirts. So we've done a couple of those super successfully. Kids love it. We've gone into the school with like our arch and our timing equipment. And so when Susie does a lap, our screens tell us Susie's done 7 laps. And so then I'm on the mic like, good job, Susie, you've done 7 laps. And Susie's 6 and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm a rock star. That lady knows my name. And, so kind of give those the race day feels. And so that's kind of what started it all. And this year we actually didn't even do any of we did one, actually. We supported one fun run this year, just brought the arch out for kids to run under. But what it evolved into, it's continued to evolve. We've given away a couple of scholarships. So we have a scholarship application on our website on windsorgives.org. So if you know of anyone that is needing support, whether it's like even just knowing you've got sponsored for a race or actually needing financial support. So let's say you got into the Leadville 100. I'm just an example because we've had people apply for that, or the Silver Rush 50, but finances are a little bit of a barrier because it's not cheap to run ultra or any races for that matter these days. So we have a scholarship fund that people can apply for, and they can apply for us to cover the cost of their entry fee, or maybe a pair of shoes or a training plan. So we've started up that program, and it doesn't have to be a Run Windsor race. It's any race anywhere. So that's one of the things that we do. And then we have one really big initiative every year called Move Through the Darkness. So same thing. I'm on the board of North Range Behavioral Health. It's our behavioral health system, and someone on their team just had an ask if we could do something in the winter time to. I think the initial ask was like, can we do a post? Run Windsor do one post, or Windsor Gives do one post to talk about the connection between moving your body and physical health and mental health. And the conversation was, we see an increase in seasonal affective disorder, a rise in suicide rates, a rise in other mental health diagnoses in the wintertime for a variety of reasons, right? Holidays are not happy for everybody. It's hard to get outside and move your body when it's cold and it gets dark early. All of these science-based reasons why these are all a problem. And one tool in our toolbox that isn't always used is physical movement. And so it was like, can you be the advocate and come out and say this, right? It's one thing for North Range to come out and post about it because people are like, whatever. But if like I can come out as a runner, or if our organization can come out and say, hey, have you guys ever thought about connecting these dots? Or let's remove the stigma from suicide and mental health diagnosis. We should be talking about things. And if I can talk about it and our community can talk about it, it lightens the conversation. It makes it more acceptable. So outside of that, long story short, I was like, we should do better. My friend Shauna and I were like, let's do better. Let's do Move Through the Darkness. And I think Sean was involved with it at this time too, and came up with a logo and a name for this like almost overnight. And so I hope you guys will all look it up and get it on your radar. Registration's not open for next year, but we do it every year. It's basically free registration. It's called movethrough.org. And when you go on to register, you pledge to run or walk or exercise a certain number of miles or hours from
cool.
December 1st through the end of January. And when you do that, you go on to the website and track your results. So you can track daily, you can track weekly, but you've kind of made this pledge. And then there's like leaderboards on the website. So you can actually see where everyone else across the country, across the world is at in relation to you. And then every week we have a different guest speaker come on a live stream similar to this that we air on Instagram. And so we've had speakers, Alvaro Nunez, I don't know if anyone saw, he was just on Good Day America. I met Alvaro at a different running event a while ago. He's an amazing motivational speaker. He just biked across America. He's done Marathon des Sables, like all these awesome things. He's really big in mental health advocacy, but I had him on the show to talk about his journey and talk about his book and inspire people. We've had speakers talk about mental health awareness and suicide and help people really get connected and educated on those topics. Registered dietitians, people talk about breath work and meditation. So really kind of just trying to fill that whole 2 months with content that is relative to this. And, we've had people do this challenge that don't need the encouragement to walk or run, but if they do it and they post about it, they might reach someone who does need to hear that message. And then, of course, we've had so many people do this challenge that reach out to us afterwards and say, I've never been so active in the winter. This changed my life. This was amazing. I didn't feel alone. I felt like I had, a community of people that I was doing this with. So that's probably the biggest thing that we do every year with Windsor Gives. And then, like I said, we do also facilitate volunteers for some of these races and kind of do that give back piece there as well.
Oh, I love that. Something that I, try to talk openly about a lot is like my struggles with mental health. And and that's something I still to this day struggle with, seasonal depression. So movement's like such a big deal to help me like navigate that. So I love that you're doing that. I'll have to sign up for that because that's kind of cool. Because, it's easy to kind of feel like you're alone during the winter. It's like you're just kind of just like slogging through these miles, and it's like cold outside, and like you don't really get to see the sun. In Indiana, you don't see the sun for like 3 months, it seems like. So it would be kind of I love that you're providing that, because that is such a huge tool, not just my toolbox for navigating that, but a lot of people. So I think that's really cool that you're doing that. So certainly I'll have to spread the word and sign up.
Sign up. You can set, we have people sign up teams, so I think what I love the most about seeing those team signups is we can have a team of 10 coworkers sign up for
Oh, cool.
however many miles, let's say 300 miles for the month. And Joe, you might put in 100 of those miles, but Tammy in your office might only want to do 10, and that's totally fine. Like there's no judgment, there's no minimum amount of miles. We do get sponsors for that, and any donations you make on the website go back to our other initiatives, but mostly they go back to fund. We have shirts or beanies that you can choose from, and if you finish the
Oh, cool.
challenge, we actually mail out, or you can come and pick up locally your finisher shirt or finisher beanie. So that's pretty fun because you see people like walking around with their Move to the Darkness beanie or
That's
shirt
cool.
on, and yeah, it's free to sign up. So yeah,
Yeah, I
you'll have to
love
create a
that.
team for next year.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. I'm definitely in for that. So wow, yeah, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to check out. I'm gonna have to come out that way and do one of these events that you're doing. I'm hooked. Um,
We'd love to have you.
yeah.
Yeah.
um, so I guess because I'm race directing curious myself. What do you what do you think is like the most rewarding experience? It doesn't have to be one single experience, but what's like the one, if you could think of like a really rewarding experience or this like in general, like an experience that you get from race directing, like what would that be like in a way that race directing maybe pays you back in some way?
It's all about the finish line. You
The
know,
finish
I
line.
think, yeah, I there's so many stories there, but it's being at the finish line and soaking in the smiles, the tears, the happy tears, the frustrated tears, like the joy, the pain, all of that, and being able to say that we've created that and we've given people that space. And sure, they could have chosen another race, but it's so fulfilling for our team and our volunteers to be there at the finish line and just know that we've been a part of someone's journey and someone's day, and that it doesn't stop there either, right? Like if someone crosses that marathon finish line for the first time, that there's a ripple effect. Like there are other people watching that journey that will then hopefully be inspired to go do something else incredible on their own. And it's, we've been doing this for 8 years now, and so having seen firsthand that ripple effect continue to grow, it's worth it. It's worth the early mornings and the jam-packed schedule and the hauling of supplies and signs and cones and all of that. So really, we're lucky to do it. I'm lucky to be able to lead the charge there. It's not easy. It is not for everyone. There have been a lot of aches and pains. There have been a lot of torn relationships through it. Honestly, I mean, I've had business partnerships not work out. It's a true labor of love. It doesn't come without its pains. Doesn't come without its mistakes. Runners get lost on the course, and you feel really bad for that, or things don't go as perfectly planned, and I don't know, you leave a sponsor logo off of a shirt and maybe lose that sponsor the next year. So things happen, and you just have to be here for that ride. But I think at the end of the day, just going into it with the pure intentions of just trying to make a difference and have fun and be a positive part of the space and doing things for the right reason is the number one goal. Um, I don't you can't go in I don't think you can go into race directing thinking you're gonna make all this money and have this great retirement plan from it. That is certainly not the case. I think doing things to enhance the experience of the runners is number one priority for me. And I've learned that the hard way too. Like at first it was like, oh, those shirts are going to be too expensive, or we can't afford this, or we can't afford that. But I quickly realized that it's worth the investment. Like going the extra mile for your community, it pays off for them. They enjoy it more. They keep coming back for more, and it'll all work out.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it certainly sounds like you definitely like have your heart into it too. So, and I can kind of hear that and like how you talk about it. So I think, yeah, it'd be exciting to, see where all your events go and watch them grow. And yeah, I'm just really stoked to get a chance to talk to you today. So that's really cool. So
Thank you
if you
for
could,
having me. It meant a lot.
yeah. Thanks for taking the time. I know you've been super busy. Um, So real quick, maybe tell everybody like where they can find you and like your website and like everything a little bit about Run Windsor, like where they can find it and sign up. Um, I think everybody should probably take a look at this event because it looks so cool. So
Thank you. Yeah, so we have 12 races a year. I didn't talk about the little bit of a rebrand, but you can find us on gomilesbeyond.com or runwindsorco.com, not Run Windsor. I found out there's another website called Run Windsor, runwindsorco.com. So we are in Colorado. Instagram is Run Windsor CO, and then I can be followed on Instagram, Mullen Mama Runner. So that's MULLENMOMMA Runner. I also co-host the Buckle Up podcast with Brian, and this I think will all probably be in the show notes as well. But yeah, Run Windsor, Colorado, Run Colorado Relays. Little teaser, we're branching out. We have a couple of other DBAs being created. Run Greeley, Run Severance. So the brand is expanding a little bit as we continue to add different things under the portfolio.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. It was awesome getting to know you. And thank you everybody who tuned into this. Certainly give Mandy a follow and check out some of these events that they have going on. And it was an honor having you on, Mandy. I hope we get to chat again. And maybe I'll see you out in Colorado. Maybe I'll sneak into Jason's relay team and I'll see you out that way. And thank you all for tuning in.
So.
Yeah, I'm in. Cool. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I will see you all again on the next episode of Beyond the Finish Line.